Ladies and gentlemen, faculty, staff, students, and guests, LitFest 2012 presents Found Words, Lost Generation. Please welcome our director, Maggie Brown!
Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs. Please take a moment to silence all your devices. Cell phones, iPads, iPods, pagers, beepers, and pinball machines. This is the Theater of the Absurd, one of two artistic traditions out of which this play grows. In the Theater of the Absurd, the actors seek to confront you with illogic. Much like music, the theatrical style communicates an atmosphere. You will find no clear conflict or plot here, but rather be presented with objects and experiences that express the precariousness of human life. This style was innovated in the 1950s and 60s by playwrights like Samuel Beckett, Eugene Ionesco, and Harold Pinter, who focused on myth and ritual in an attempt to regain that sense of cosmic wonder that seemed to have been lost after World War II. The Theater of the Absurd has its roots in the avant-garde art experiments of the 1920s and 30s, and it is from the 20s and 30s that we get the second tradition that has influenced this production. The script itself is a splicing together of some of the most famous poems written by members of the Lost Generation, a literary group of the modern period, so named by Gertrude Stein, who told Ernest Hemingway, "That's what you all are, all of you young people who served in the war. You are a lost generation." This is, of course, the First World War, and the writers of the age experimented with subject matter to express the alienation of modern life. Also, in an attempt to impose meaning on the human condition, these writers often used concrete imagery and professed that there were no ideas but in things. You will hear lines from Ezra Pound, E.E. Cummings, T.S. Eliot, Gertrude Stein, and William Carlos Williams. And one last thing. I need to tell you that what you're about to see is a staged reading of a play. It is not actually a complete production, but rather a testing ground of sorts for a working script. Our minimal costumes and props would be consistent with what you might find in an avant-garde performance, but the fact that the actors still have their scripts with them is the mark of a reading rather than a full play. So please be kind, they won't rewind. Just sit back, open your mind, and enjoy Found Words, Lost Generation.
In a station of the metro, the apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet, black bough.
E.E. Cummings.
Anyone lived in a pretty how town?
With us so floating, many bells down.
Spring.
Summer.
Autumn.
Winter.
He sang his didn't, he danced his did. Women and men
Both little and small.
cared for anyone, not at all. They sowed their isn't, they reaped their same.
Sun!
Moon.
Stars.
Rain.
Children guessed.
But only a few, and down they forgot as up they grew.
Autumn.
Winter.
Spring.
Summer.
That no one loved him more by more, when by now and tree by leaf. She laughed his joy, she cried his grief. Bird by snow and stir by still, anyone's any was all to her. Someone's married there, everyone's, laughed their cryings and did their dance.
Sleep. Wake!
Hope.
And then
they said their nevers, they slept their dream.
stars!
Rain.
Sun!
Moon.
And only the snow can begin to explain how children are apt to forget, to remember.
With us so floating, many bells down.
T.S. Eliot and Gertrude Stein.
Let us go then.
you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient etherized upon a table, let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels, and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells, streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo.
Michelangelo!
Stanzas in meditation. I think very well of Susan, but I do not know her name. I think very well of Ellen, but which is not the same. I think very well of Paul, I tell him not to do so. I think very well of Francis Charles, but do I do so? Think very well of Thomas, but I do not do so. I think very well, but not very well, of William. I think very well of any very well of him. I think very well of him. It is remarkable how quickly they learn, but if they learn, and it is very remarkable how quickly they learn, it makes not only but by and by, and they cannot only be not here, but not there, which after all makes no difference. After all, this does not make any difference. I added it to it. I could rather be here.
William Carlos Williams!
Landscape with the fall of Icarus. According to Bruegel, when Icarus fell, it was spring. A farmer was plowing his field, the whole pageantry of the year was awake and tingling near. The edge of the sea concerned with itself, sweating in the sun that melted the wing's wax. Unsignificantly off the coast there was a splash, quite unnoticed. This was Icarus drowning. T.S. Eliot and Gertrude Stein.
The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, that fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. And indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window panes. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be time to murder and create. And time for all the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you and time for me. And time yet for 100 indecisions and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of toast and tea. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo.
Michelangelo!
It is not a range of a mountain of average, of a range of an average mountain, nor can they of a range. To have been not which they which, can add a mountain to this. Upper and add it then maintain, that if they were busy, so to speak, add it to and, it not only why they could not add ask, or when, just when, more each other. There is no each other as they like. They add why then of merge and add in.
It is of absolutely no importance how often they add it.
William Carlos Williams.
This is just to say, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me. They were delicious, so sweet and so cold.
E. Cummings and T.S. Eliot.
The Calvert Ladies who live in furnished souls. The Calvert Ladies who live in furnished souls are unbeautiful and have comfortable minds. Also, with the Church's Protestant blessings, daughters unscented, shapeless, spirited. They believe in Christ and Longfellow, both dead, are invariably interested in so many things. At the present, writing one still finds delighted fingers knitting for the is it poles. Perhaps, while permanent faces foilly bandy, scandal of Miss N and Professor D. The Cambridge ladies do not care. Above Cambridge is sometimes, in its box of sky lavender and cornerless, the moon rattles like a fragment of angry candy.
And indeed, there will be time to wonder, do I dare? And do I dare? Time to turn back and descend to the stair, or with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say, how his hair is grown thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, how his arms and legs are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute, there is time for decisions and revisions, which a minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all. Have known the evenings, mornings, and afternoons. I have measured out my life with talking spoons. I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room. So how should I presume? And I have known the eyes already, known them all, the eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase. And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling against the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the butt ends of my days and ways? And how should I presume? And I have known them all already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and white and bare, but in the lamplight, down with light brown hair. Is it perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table or wrap about a shawl? And should I then presume? And how should I begin? Shall I say I have gone at dusk through narrow streets and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt sleeves leaning out of windows?
I should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas.
And the afternoon, the evening, sleeps so peacefully, smoothed by long fingers, asleep, tired, or it malingers, stretched on the floor, here beside you and me. Should I, after tea and cakes and ices, have the strength to force the moment through its crisis? But though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head grown slightly bald, brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no grading. I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker. And in short, I was afraid.
William Carlos Williams.
The red wheelbarrow. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow, glazed with rainwater, beside the white chickens.
Gertrude Stein and T.S. Eliot.
Which I wish to say is this. There is no beginning to an end, but there is a beginning and an end to beginning. Why, yes, of course. Anyone can learn that north, of course, is not only north, but north as north. Why were they worried? What I wish to say is this. Yes, of course.
And would it have been worth it after all? After the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me, would it have been worthwhile to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll toward some overwhelming question, to say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all. If one settling a pillow by her head should say,
That is not what I meant at all. That is not it at all.
no, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor will I ever be. I am an attendant lord, one that will do. To swell a progress, start a scene or two. Advise the prince, no doubt, an easy tool. Deferential, glad to be of use. Politic, cautious, and meticulous. Full of high sentence, but a bit obtuse. At times, indeed, almost ridiculous. Almost at times, the fool. I grow old. I grow old. I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair, the waves blown back. When the wind blows the water white and black. We have lingered in the chambers of the sea, by sea girls wreathed with seaweed red and brown, till human voices wake us and we drown.
E.E. Cummings.
One day, anyone died, I guess.
And
no one stooped to kiss his face.
Busy folk buried them side by side, little by little, and was by was.
All by all, and deep by deep, and more by more they dream their sleep. No one and anyone, earth by April, wish by spirit, and if by yes.
Women and men,
Both dong and ding,
Summer.
Autumn.
winter, spring,
reaped their sowing, and went their king.
Sun!
Moon,
Stars.
Rain.
I wish I had spoken only of it all.